guys, it's Gamer Ahmer here. So today we're going to go ahead and take a drive to Delaware and check out some pretty cool shops that have some vintage toys and games in them. So hopefully we can go ahead and find some pretty awesome scores. Now these places are actually called Yesterday's Fun Vintage Toys and Games. One is actually located in Bethany Beach, Delaware, and the other one is located at Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. So let's go ahead and check them out. I actually found some pretty sweet items at both of those shops, Yesterday's Fun Vintage Toys and Games. So I found some great video game items for some really good prices and some vintage toys. So here we have a bag of goodies. Let's go inside and check it out. Here we actually have two bags full of video game and toy pickups that I had on this road trip. So this first bag is actually some items from both of the Yesterday's Fun Vintage Toys and Game stores, which are actually located in Delaware. And this is actually a bonus pickup that I scored in Salisbury, Maryland at a game store called XL Games. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this bag first. So of course, at the first stop, I went to Bethany Beach, Delaware at the first store, and I scored these two games right here. We have this Nintendo GameCube game, and this is Bomberman Jetters. So I actually didn't have this one in my collection, and it is actually complete and in very good shape. We have the manual in here with all of the extra pamphlets that are included with the GameCube games, and then we have this disc, and it's actually in very good shape. So I'm really excited to try out this Bomberman game. Here it says Bomberman Jetters. The Hidge Bandits are going to crash their artificial comet Dark Star into Planet Bomber. As Bomberman, you must destroy the 4 engines and propel Dark Star before it's too late. So this actually has new multiplayer battles, all new chair bombs with special abilities that grow stronger as they evolve. Switch between Bomberman and Max while playing. So this one actually looks like a pretty fun game, and it's in very good shape. So they had a pretty good collection of vintage games, and all of their games were reasonably priced. I actually had quite a few that they did, so that's why I only picked up these two. So we actually have this Sega Genesis game called Strider, and it says 8 mega memory, and this is in very good shape. The case is all original and has this little tab on top. It doesn't look like there's any damage to this manual right here, as everything is in pretty pristine condition. So that's pretty sweet. And we have this cartridge game, which also doesn't have any damage on the label. So that is definitely a win in my book. So I got these games for a pretty good price. And here it says Strider. Take on all the explosive action of the arcade hit. Your Strider, a crunching hulk of muscle with a grappling hook and laser sword. You're in a future land of backward time, and its evil master is taunting you with defeat. Can you survive 8 mega of incredible danger? Hang glide into the citadel, then clang your hook into metal to stiff arm up to safety. Stay alive by slashing armies, winged robots, and prehistoric monsters into shuddering heaps. So this one looks like a pretty fun game. So I'm really excited to try this one out for the Sega Genesis. And then of course, I had a lot of fun looking around the store. They have tons of action figures and tons of vintage toys in there. I actually found several Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, They have Masters of the Universe, He-Man, just anything that you can remember from your childhood. They actually have it in both of their shops. So of course I had to stop by the other shop and see if there was anything that I wanted. So first up, I actually saw this behind the counter. This is a Double Dragon Shadow Raven toy by Tycho. So this features secret winged grenade missile launcher, spare grenades disguised as exhaust pipes. So this is one of the vehicles that's included in this full set of figures right here. So it says collect all these exciting Double Dragon figures and vehicles. So of course it has all of these different characters in the set with these vehicles. Now I actually remember playing with these when I was growing up, as I love the Double Dragon series. So I was pretty excited to find this, and the owner was actually willing to work on some of the prices there, so that was definitely a great deal. So the more that I bought, the more I saved. So this is pretty sweet, as this is actually still sealed. So this will be pretty sweet to display with some other Double Dragon titles, and maybe go ahead and complete this full set, which will be pretty sweet. And then of course I saw this Tiger handheld. This is the electronic LCD video game, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now I remember all of these Tiger electronic handhelds growing up. I actually owned quite a few of these. So to find one in its original packaging without any damage to the sides right here, this is just amazing. And for a great deal, I couldn't pass it up. So this is brand new, never opened, never played, and it's in very great shape. So this is definitely pretty sweet to add to my collection. And they had tons of brand new sealed items there from the past. So this is from 1994, Tiger Electronics. And this is definitely a pretty sweet score. And then on to a couple figures. We actually have this 1993 RoboCop, and it actually lights and sounds. It works, but it actually needs some batteries in this little figure. And it's in very good shape for being a loose figure, and it has the gun here. So I'm definitely still on the lookout for a larger size RoboCop figure. So this is definitely a pretty sweet score. And then on to this pretty sweet Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figure that actually has all of the accessories with it. So we have this Rock and Ralph, and this is a pretty cool figure. It's definitely in some pretty good shape, has all of these different items with it. So this is definitely a pretty sweet score, as I didn't actually have this figure in my collection just yet. And this is from 1991, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then, along with all of these great finds, I actually found this pretty sweet board game. Now this is one that's been on my list. It's called Seven Wonders. So this looks like a pretty interesting board game. Right here, you can have 2 to 7 players, ages 10 and up, about 30 minutes. Comes with all of these different cards, coins, and all kinds of different items here. More than 30 international awards. So this is definitely a pretty sweet game. So Yesterday's Fun Vintage Toys and Games actually sells tons of different board games. They have tons of video games, action figures, toys, just all kinds of great items, and all for some great deals. It's definitely pretty sweet seeing all of those different things in one location. So if you are ever in the Delaware area, I would definitely check out their Bethany Beach location and their Rehoboth Beach location, because they have tons of different items. If you're definitely into some of these items right here, it's definitely worth a trip. They also have He-Man, Masters of the Universe, tons of different cars and vehicles. And then along with this trip, I actually stopped in Salisbury, Maryland at this video game store called XL Games. Now they have some pretty sweet items there. They have tons of different video games, tons of sale racks where you can find some pretty cheap games. They have arcade games, pinball machines, all kinds of collector's edition statues and just anything related to video games. So I actually have this bag right here full of goodies. Now, when I went in there, I actually found quite a few common games that I didn't actually have in my collection. These were all in pretty good shape, so I had to pick them up. So here we have another Genesis game, and this is G-Lock Air Battle. And of course, once again, this case is in very great shape, and this is pretty cool shooting game. It says the enemy fighter is in your gun sight. Hit the button now to launch the deadly Dragonfly missile, or use your M40A1 Vulcan guns to blow bandits from the sky. You've got plenty of firepower. Take on wave after wave of enemy fighters. Fly through narrow canyons to take out enemy installations. Then land your fighter on the carrier deck to earn your wings. So this is definitely a pretty cool pickup, and it was cheap enough. And everything is included. We have the manual and the cartridge, which looks amazing. And then on to this pretty sweet Nintendo GameCube game. We actually have this freestyle street soccer game, and right here I actually picked this one up because it is a Blockbuster exclusive. So this is definitely pretty cool to have in my collection, this Blockbuster exclusive variant. Cover right here, and this actually looks like a pretty interesting game. It's the first ever arcade street soccer video game. So this is one that I did not have in my collection, and for a great deal I had to pick it up. And then of course on to a couple Wii games. So this one is actually still completely sealed, and it's in very good shape. It's called Line Rider 2 Unbound. So this one looks like an interesting little cartoon-esque game. So it says easy track sharing on the internet, 3 fantastic game modes, story, freestyle, and puzzle creation, 12 new line types including acceleration, trick, and destructible, top 10 most wanted games of 2008. So it looks pretty simple, but it actually looks interesting, and it says Chaz is trying to steal your girl and your sled. Save your true love Bailey by solving over 40 mind-bending puzzle tracks created by the #1 line rider player in the world, Tech Dog. The possibilities are limited only by physics and your imagination, providing endless hours of creative play. So this looks pretty interesting. And then of course this game we have Legend of the Dragon. Now it has this sticker across the front, but that should come off pretty easy along with the back here. So this is pretty interesting game, and it has some fighting style components on here. Join the Golden Dragon in an epic battle between good and evil. All guardians have magic power bands which transform them into mythical warriors bestowed with powers of the zodiac creature they represent. Use their individual strengths to defeat the common enemy. So there's 18 playable characters, each with unique fighting skills, fight in 18 different combat arenas, 8 challenging gameplay modes, including 3 multiplayer. So this looks like a pretty cool beat 'em up game, so I'll have to try this one out. And then a couple NES games. I actually scored this Mag Max. So this looks like an interesting game. There's a robot creature, looks like they're in space. So this will be a pretty interesting game to go ahead and play through. And then we have this Airwolf game, which is based on the hit TV series. Don't believe I've actually played this before, but for a cheap price I had to pick these up. They're in excellent condition for being Nintendo games and being some of the more common games, so I'll have to give both of these a go. And then of course I found some pretty cool Sega CD games. We have this Cliffhanger game, and it's complete in this jewel case right here, so I had to pick this one up. Anytime I find Sega CD or Sega Saturn games, I usually try and pick them up as they're not very common and I don't see them very often, especially complete. And then I picked up this Stellar Fire game for the Sega CD, which has a pretty cool cover on here, so it definitely looks interesting. and it says non-stop action with unmatched 3-dimensional realism. So this one definitely looks interesting, and once again, it looks like it's in very good shape. The disc is pretty nice on this, wasn't that expensive either, so I had to pick this one up. So as you can tell, I found some pretty awesome items from yesterday's fun, Vintage Toys and Games, located at Bethany Beach, Delaware, and Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, along with my trip to Salisbury to XL Games in Maryland. So these are some pretty awesome items. I've been looking for a couple of these items for a while now, so it's definitely pretty awesome to find these in very good shape, especially this pretty sweet Tiger Electronics handheld, which is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers one, and it's still sealed. So that is definitely a pretty sweet find, as you don't see those often. And some of these games for the Genesis, GameCube, and Sega CD that you definitely don't see every day. So overall, I'm very excited about all of these items, and I'm really excited to go ahead and try out some of these games, because they actually look like a lot of fun. And I'll have to get some of these items on display, and maybe go ahead and show off a lot more of my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, as I have quite a bunch of those, even some that are still sealed. So let me know what you think, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos, and stay tuned for more.